Well, you did eventually, you got a job working as a speechwriter for Vice President Bush.
I did.
What was that like? How did you get that job?
Well, you know, life is often a series of accidents, some happy, some less happy. I had I was writing now for Esquire, and I'd written a straightforward journalistic piece on Mexico's oil boom. And a guy named Pete Teeley, who was Mr. Bush's press secretary, had read it, and I'd met him once at a party. Now, Pete, who is the best of his breed of, you know, political press operators, Pete was not the kind of guy to, you know, launch a 6-month talent search for Mr. Bush's speechwriter. He had a cold typewriter, and he needed someone to warm it. And my phone rang, and he said, you know, how'd you like a job? And I, you know, how do you turn down a job at the White House? I had never written a speech, but
So it worked out?
Apparently.
You were there for 2 years?
I was there for 2 years. Yeah, I one night I threw all my possessions in the back of my Volkswagen Red Rabbit convertible, and I drove down to start my life in Washington, and I got lost. I took the wrong exit off the Beltway, and I came in on New York Avenue, and suddenly I look up, and there's the white dome of the Capitol gleaming. And it really, you know, I hope it doesn't sound mawkish, but, you know, I still get choked up thinking about that. It was like, sort of like a, you know, it was a Mr. Smith goes to Washington moment.
How do you like writing speeches for Vice President Bush? And when he became president, why didn't you stay with him?
Well, because I didn't look at speech writing as a life pursuit. And I had no intention of going into politics, which is to say, you know, starting out as a speechwriter, and then you're a deputy assistant undersecretary for cleaning ashtrays in the Interior Department, and then, you know, 40 years later, you're ambassador to Cape Verde Islands. So that was never, you know, one of my, while I worked for Mr. Bush for 2 years, and I came to revere George Bush. He and my father, and my Uncle Jimmy maybe, are the two finest men I've ever known.